Okay, so are you ready to dive deep?
Always ready.
Awesome. Because today we're going to be talking about Stoicism.
Stoicism, one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at Stoicism through this quiz that you sent over.
Mm,
And it's supposed to help you figure out, like, how stoic you actually are.
yeah.
But I think it's more interesting to use it as, like, a jumping off point
Yeah.
to kind of dig into some of, like, the deeper
Yeah.
philosophical and ethical and even moral principles of Stoicism. What do you think?
I love that approach because you're so right. A lot of times Stoicism gets kind of flattened and people think that it's just about being emotionless.
Yeah.
And it is so much deeper and richer than that. So I am all for it.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. This first statement here, prolonged silence makes me uncomfortable. I think a lot of people can relate to that these days, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like to a Stoic, silence isn't just like tolerable. It's like essential.
Right. I mean, think about it this way. For the Stoics, wisdom and virtue are things that you develop. They're like muscles that you have to train.
Okay.
And silence is kind of like the mental gym where that happens. It's not about avoiding the world, but it's about going inward to get strong enough to handle everything that the world is going to throw at you.
So it's not about like going and meditating in a cave somewhere. It's about like there's like a real practical purpose to it.
Absolutely. The Stoics, they believe that every decision you make, every action that you take should be rooted in reason.
Right.
But it's really hard to access reason when you're constantly bombarded by desires, by fears, by opinions, all the noise of the world that's coming at you.
Right.
Silence gives you the space to cut through that, to really connect with what your core values are. And then from that place, you can act.
Yeah, it's almost like hitting the pause button and everything before you react to something.
Yeah.
So you're not just reacting emotionally, you're responding thoughtfully.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so this next one. Thinking about death only breeds negativity. I think this is another one that probably resonates with a lot of people.
Sure.
But Stoics, they'd probably disagree with that, right?
Yeah. The Stoics, they actually believed that contemplating your own mortality was key to living a good life.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of counterintuitive,
Yeah.
right? Like, why would you want to be thinking about death? It seems kind of morbid.
Well, it's not about being morbid. It's about really accepting death, not fearing it.
Right.
And when you accept death, it actually frees you to live more fully in the present moment.
Okay.
This is where that idea of memento mori comes in,
Right.
this ancient practice of reflecting on death
Okay.
to help you appreciate the preciousness of life.
So it's less about being depressed by death and more about being motivated by it
Yeah.
to make the most of the time you have.
Right. Knowing that your time is finite, that helps you prioritize what's truly important. It pushes you to really align your actions with your values. And that kind of brings us to the next statement. Institutions serve as moral guides for all of us. The Stoics, they had a very different take on where morality comes from.
Yeah. They were big fans of just blindly following the rules, were they?
No, not at all. To them, true morality wasn't about external laws. It wasn't about societal pressures. It was about tapping into something called natural law, this sort of universal rational order that governs the universe.
Right.
And how do you access natural law? Through reason, through your individual conscience.
So it's like each person has like their own internal compass to figure out what's right and wrong.
That's right. Yeah.
Wouldn't that lead to chaos, though? Everyone just doing their own thing?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. Stoics, they believed that because this natural law is rooted in reason, it will inherently lead to virtuous actions.
Okay.
So things like justice, wisdom, courage, these aren't arbitrary rules,
Yeah.
but they are qualities that naturally contribute to the common good.
So by being a good person, you're kind of automatically making society better,
Exactly.
even if you're not out like marching in protest or anything.
Right.
Okay. So this next one, I want to live long and enjoy life to the fullest. That's something probably everybody wants, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But Stoicism reminds us that there's a difference between pleasure and true fulfillment.
Right.
So they're not about being total killjoys. They're not against enjoying things.
No, not at all. They were wary of making pleasure the goal of life.
Okay.
They believed that lasting happiness comes from virtue, from aligning your actions with reason and that natural order that we talked about earlier.
Okay. But isn't that a bit like restrictive, like always choosing the right thing, even if it's not fun?
Well, the Stoics would argue that true freedom actually comes from self-control.
Okay.
Think about it this way. You could have the fleeting pleasure of eating an entire cake,
Right.
Or you can have the lasting satisfaction of taking care of your health. One is driven by impulse,
Yep.
and the other is driven by reasoned choice.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
So it's about making choices that benefit you in the long run, even if they require some discipline up front.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So then this ties into this next one, which is all about wanting to make the world a better place, right? I do my best to improve the world and society. Stoics, they'd say the most powerful way to do that is by starting with yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So it's about being the change you want to see,
Yeah.
but on a personal level.
Absolutely. By working on your own character, becoming more just, more wise, more courageous, you naturally influence the people around you.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a world full of people who are all striving for that self-mastery. The
Right.
ripple effect would be huge.
It's like that idea that your inner state
Yeah.
creates your outer reality.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so last one. I identify with certain trends and currents of thought. I have a feeling Stoics probably wouldn't be big on that.
Yeah, they would definitely be wary. Remember, they really emphasized independent thought
Right.
above all else.
Right.
And trends, they're external, they're often driven by emotion or social pressure. A Stoic would really encourage you to question why you align with something.
Yeah.
Is it truly your belief, or is it just what's popular?
So basically, be your own person. Don't just follow the crowd.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Wow. This has been a really incredible deep dive. I think we've gone way beyond just like those surface level ideas of Stoicism. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been great. And I think the beauty of Stoicism is that it's not just a theory. It's about applying these principles to your life. So I guess my question to you listening is, which one of these Stoic ideas resonates most with you right now?
That's a good question.
And how can you start living that out, even in small ways, today?
Yeah. That's a really powerful question to leave our listener with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Stoicism.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's been great.
Awesome. We'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.